we were discussing about the overall introduction of the Fusion and how the pages look like and what are all the ways to create a project and how you are going to add the missing tasks and all. And we also discussed about the enterprise structure. So we discussed about the top ultimate companies, the enterprise, and then under that we'll have divisions, if at all divisions are there, or else as per the client requirement, if there are no divisions, then we will try to create some dummy divisions as per the structure. And then under that we'll have legal entities and all, business units, and then under that we have departments. So let us try to create the enterprise today. So we'll discuss how to create an enterprise and what are all the different things, different information that we need to create an enterprise. So again, I'm repeating, like the enterprise is the top group of companies, what we call. For example, if you take Tata, they have so many companies in Tata Group. So the Tata Group name is called the enterprise. You can say Tata Enterprise, something like that. Under Tata Enterprise, we may have different divisions or business units or whatever the naming convention that they call. They have Tata Automobiles, Tata Consulting, Tata Projects, and then they may have some other Tata Aerospace or something like that. But all together, these companies, we call it as a group. The group is nothing but the enterprise. So we know how to, let me come back and show you guys from the home page. So after you log in, so you can be on the home page. Jake is taking some time. All right. So this would be the home page. So once you log in, you can be on this page. And then once you are here, so you can just click here. So this is the navigation path to go to the functional setup manager. We have setup and maintenance. And then we have implementation projects. So we should go through the implementation projects for any of the setups. So whichever the implementation project that you choose, you can do the setups for instance, but only thing is you will not be able to track your project status and all. Right. So on this page, so we need to set the task for creating the enterprises. So you can say manage enterprise. You can just search with this manage enterprise. Or you can say establish enterprise. So let me come back to that. Or you can just search like this, enterprise. We have the established enterprise structures. Because it's very difficult to open the folder and get into the subfolder and again get into the subfolder. So that will be difficult. So better always search it here with this thing, whatever that is containing. You just need to remember which step you are going to do. It's very easy to remember. For example, if you want to define, so these are all the different tasks that we need to do. So if you want to define the reference data sets, so just use the percentile, reference and percentile. So it's going to bring up all the matching criteria task there. Then you can click on this task and then go to the task to perform to create that particular step. So now we have established enterprise structures. So this is the first step that we need to do in the setup. Okay. So one thing you need to remember here is, for any implementation, we can create any number of enterprises, but only one enterprise can be used for one implementation. One implementation in the sense for one client, because the license is based on the client's requirement to use the license for one company. So if you are implementing for one company, that means only one license will have. For one license, we should be able to create only one enterprise. One enterprise is nothing but one company. If you take Tata, Tata is a company. So irrespective of how many sister concern companies they have, but it is a group of companies. So only one group. For one group of companies, we create only one enterprise. And then that's how they will take the license for one enterprise. If they want to create one more enterprise, they will have to approach Oracle, and then they will have to take a separate license. And for that second enterprise, they will provide the login credentials and all. And there is no integration. There would be no integration between these two enterprises' data. Once you log into one enterprise, you can see the data related to that enterprise only. And if you log into other enterprise, if you log into other enterprise too. Okay, so let us create one enterprise. So we have so many enterprises created for testing purpose here, and we have only one enterprise which is loaded now. So if you want to create an enterprise, so let's go here. Or if you want to edit an enterprise, so you can always go to the edit option and then click on this. So let us create one enterprise here. How to create? There is a plus symbol on this particular page, manage enterprise configuration page, plus symbol. Right. So this is called, even this particular task name is manage enterprise configuration. We can also call it as enterprise structures configurator. The task name is enterprise escape. We can simply remember with the name of escape key, ESC, enterprise structures configurator. You can expect this question in your interview. Okay, so let me create one RTI enterprise something. I'm going to use the name and the description also the same, RTI enterprise, and then we'll click on OK. It is already there. Okay, let me use RTI enterprise 2. Okay. So I'm going to use the short name as the same, RTI-E or something like this. And coming to the short name can be anything, like you can say, if you're, as per our example, if you want to take it as Tata, you can just use Tata, TATA. Okay. And then the primary industry, in which business the client is into, what is the main business of the client? So is it a manufacturing company or a software company, whatever it is? What is the primary industry? So let me take it as a manufacturing. So we can get that information from the client. We can ask the business, what is the primary industry your company into? And then the headquarters country. You can select in which country the client is located, whether it's in US or India, whatever. So let me select as United States. And this is the legal name, coming to the legal information section. So this is the enterprise information section, and this is the legal information section. So in this case, legal name, that means on which name the company is registered with the government. So whether it is a Factories Act or a Companies Act, whatever the act is, as per the Companies Act, in their respective country, whatever the name that have been registered with the government. So that legal name you have to give. So let me say RTI Enterprise. And legal identifier number is the government issues some registration number for the company. So you have to use that number, and these numbers will be given by legal entity identifier, legal entity registration number, and legal reporting unit registration number. So this is the number given by the labor department as per the labor laws. So the above two numbers will be given by the registrar of companies or whatever, and this is given by the labor department for recruiting the employees into the company. So these three numbers will be given by the business, so we don't need to worry about those numbers, and whatever the numbers they give to us, so we just enter here. And then coming to the legal address, so we said legal name RTI Enterprise, and while applying for the license itself, or while submitting the application form for registration, that time we mentioned that a headquarter address. So that is called the legal address. So we will create a legal address. We can create from here. If we click on this, you can search if you already created a legal address by going to the location, or we'll create it now, because this is the first step we have started here. So let us click on create. All right. So let us create RTI Enterprise Headquarters something. I'll give the name of the location, and the description also the same. And then address line 1, address line 2, address line 3, city, state, and all these things. We can give some information on that. And then postal code. So let me choose something here. Because US address, it validates by the postal code. The zip code should be matching with the city, state, and all. So I just selected like this. And let us go, I'll say some New York State or something like that. And then say OK. All right, so we have selected the legal address, RTI Enterprise Headquarters, and then Enterprise Configuration Requirements section. So you can just see you have provided enough information to configure a simple enterprise with a single legal entity. So this is also called a legal entity. So the legal entity, as I mentioned, that legal entity is a registered company. So if you have, for example, Tata, in Tata Group, you have Tata Consulting, Tata Automobile, Tata Manufacturing, or something else. All those are called legal entities because they will have, they would have registered these companies with a separate license with the Government of India as per the Companies Act. So that's why we call them as a different companies, and then we call it as different legal entities. Just for the namesake, if they are calling as Tata Consulting, Tata and Tata Projects or something like that, then that is a different case. they will be under Tata legal entity only. There would be only one legal entity. But in this case, Tata might have registered each company when they opened a separate entity of business. So those are called legal entities. So now let us assume that we have created one legal entity, which is RTI Enterprise, which is a registered company. And then if we have any other sister concern companies or any other line of business, like where you have pharma industry, where you have software industry, for each industry you might have, for each company or each industry, you might have registered with the government separately. So in that case, you will have more legal entities, not just the one. So in this case, you have provided enough information to configure a simple enterprise with a single legal entity operating in a single country. Select an option below. Continue with the interview to set up more legal entities. So interview means less like going forward to the next step. So our complete setup for single legal entity. So whether your company having one single entity only, or you have multiple legal entities. If you have multiple legal entities, more than one, we'd be choosing the first option so that we can create more legal entities. Okay, so let us move on. So the first one is RTI Enterprise, or we can say RTI Manufacturing, I'll say, so that we can create more line of businesses related legal entities. And then let's move on to the next step. Okay, so we'll create the legal entities in the next step. Now let us create the divisions. So when we move to the next, we are prompted for creating the divisions. So let us create one. So I can say RTI Manufacturing, one division. And then this division is in which country, you can say. So I'm going to use United States, and the location, in which location this particular division is there. So I'll say RTI Enterprise Headquarters itself, because that location, this is the legal address of the RTI Enterprise, the main head office. And let us assume that under the main head office itself, the manufacturing company is also located. Let us create one more, RTI Software Services, something like this. RTI Software, let me say. This is one more division. So I'm calling the division as a separate line of business here. So I'll say this is located in India. So now we don't have any location created for India. So let us create one, because we created this RTI Enterprise HQ location for US. So let me say RTI Software India Headquarters something. I'll copy the same thing. And then address line is, you can see here, there are star marks here. The star marks ones are a required field. Without entering any information for this, you will not be able to save the record. You will not be able to go through further setups. So this is a mandatory step, which is a required field, the single star marks. Okay, that you need to remember. So I can say it's like Electronic City. And then city and town, I'm going to use Bangalore from the list of values. Let me check something there. If there is no list of value for Bangalore, we'll try to select something else. I'll use geography, India. Let me use Bangalore. Okay, so there is nothing there with the Bangalore name. So let me select something else. Okay, I'll use Pune or something like this. Let me use this. Whatever the address, let me use. whatever the geography information that is loaded, I think that doesn't have the Bangalore. Okay, for this address, there is no pin code defined. Okay, so let me use Faridabad something, and then we can say okay, because we entered all the required information. And the location for this division is RTI Software division is RTI Software India headquarters, and for the manufacturing division is RTI Enterprise headquarters. So now we have two separate divisions under this RTI Enterprise Software division and manufacturing division. For manufacturing division, we have RTI Enterprise HQ is the head office, and software we have RTI Software India headquarters is the head office. So if we have more divisions, you can always create it here, and then move on to the next step to create more legal entities. So we have created only one legal entity now for manufacturing, RTI manufacturing. So this is the legal entity that we have created in our first step when we are creating the enterprise. So that is the first step. And then when we come here, so automatically the created legal entity, it will come here. So now if you want to create more legal entities, you can select it here. You can create, add one more row. So we have already created one legal entity for manufacturing. And then let me select for India. You can say RTI Software. That is the division. The division is just for the namesake. It's not related to any government relations. It's not related to any government departments. The division, what you call is, it's just a simple classification to understand within the company. So you can have more divisions like software, business consulting, IT consulting, or sales and marketing division, something like this. That is for your naming convention. Nothing to do with the government. So the relation with the government is through the legal entities. That is the registered companies. So let me link this with RTI Software division. And then legal entity numbers. So whenever we register this RTI Software with the Register of Companies of India, so we can get this number and this legal entity number also. And then legal reporting unit. This is the reporting unit registration number. So that also you're going to get it from the business itself. And the legal address, this is again the same division address what we selected for division RTI Software India. So the same division, software division, and a legal entity with the registered address is RTI Software India. Then if we have more legal entities, you can create any number of legal entities related to any number of countries. And then one thing you need to remember is, it doesn't mean that one country should have only one enterprise. One country can have one country can have more legal entities. For example, if you take India, you have India RTI Software, one company, and you may have IT consulting company separately, a business consulting company separately, or you may have something else, some other, even the manufacturing also can be in India. So in that case, you would be creating more legal entities. For example, if you take Tata, so Tata has so many. So in this case, Tata Consulting is a legal entity in same India, and Tata Automobile is same in India. It exists in India, so that is another legal entity. Tata Projects is another one. Tata Aerospace is another one. So like this, you can have more legal entities registered with the government as a separate company. So if you have more requirements, then you can create more legal entities here. And then move on to the next step. So now the concept of business units. So the business unit, again, it is a further classification under legal entity, how you want to classify your company into different business units. For example, if you take Tata Projects, so you can call them as the northern region or southern region or eastern region, western region, something like that, or South India operations, North India operations, so that you may further classify them into business units. And also, whatever the positions that you are creating, like manager finance, assistant manager finance, manager HR, that you are going to create, those directly will be linked with the business units. So that is why you have to, if the client says, these are my business units, we can right away go ahead with that. Or if the client doesn't say anything, then we have to remember the positions creation with respect to the business units. And also there is one more thing, reference data sets that we will talk in our next step here. The reference data sets are directly linked to the business units. That is to filter the data. So based on that, we will have to decide how many business units that we need to create. So let me create business units here. So you want to automatically generate business units based on the legal entity that we created. So if we select this and then move forward by selecting this, RTA software will become a business unit, RTA manufacturing unit, and RTA manufacturing will become another business unit. You want to do with this, or you want to manually create business units, then this will go off. If you want to say, I'll create on my own, not related to the previous legal entities, you can create manually. And then if you click on the next step, you can create the business units here. All right. So I'll answer your question at the end of this session, Hari. All right. So managing the business units. So if you click on here, you can see you can create business units. So I'm going to create 2 business units for India. So you can say North India manufacturing, something like this, NIM. Or we can say it's not manufacturing. The division what we created is software, right? So North India Development Center, something like this. North India Development. In the country, you can say India. And the location, you can use Software India headquarters, whatever. Then you can create one more business unit. I can say SID, South India Development. And then country, you can say India. And then location. So since it is South India, I can create one more. This is again we have. Let me set some more. Okay, let me give one. So in this instance, whoever loaded the geographies are not loaded. That's anyhow it's Oracle issue. So we're not going to do anything. use advanced search. Okay, let us assume that some city we are selecting from Faridabad only, and this is what we call even the South India operations or whatever. Forget about which address we are entering here. So anyhow, you would be taking the separate address list from your client. I'll say South India BU. Okay, so this is the address location for South India development, and this is for North India development. And then these two are the business units. So if you want to create more business units for US operations, US manufacturing, you can always create more business units. So let us go ahead with this only two. And then we have the reference data sets. So let's go back to our PPT. Okay, so this is the reference data sets that we are talking about. So we can call them as reference data sets, or we can also call them as set IDs. Reference data sets or set IDs we can call. So this is used for partitioning data into smaller portions. So we have 4 objects here: departments, locations, jobs, and grades. So we'll create departments, we'll create locations, we'll create jobs, we'll create grades. These 4 objects can be filtered by the business units. Okay, so for example, if you want to see a job called South India Finance Manager, so the South India Finance Manager job, if you create, it should be, and let us assume that there are 2 HR users. One HR user is responsible for creating the employee data for South India operations or South India business unit. Another HR user is responsible for the North India business unit. So now the business requirement is South India operations HR guy should not see any jobs or positions or departments data among these 4 objects what we are discussing here. So departments, locations, jobs, and grades, they should not see, and they should not, because whatever the positions, whatever the jobs that you're creating, it should be for this business unit only. And whatever the jobs that you are creating for North India, it should be for this business unit only. So there should not be any cross assignments. If that is the requirement, you have to filter these objects by business unit. If it is a South India manufacturing business unit, only the objects related to South India manufacturing should only be displayed to the HR user of South India manufacturing or South India manufacturing BU, so that they can select only those values to the South India employees. And similarly, for North India employees, the North India HR user should be able to select only the objects which are related to the North India operations. So you have North India Finance Manager, you have South India Finance Manager. So when the HR user go to the employee record and try to assign a job for one of the employee who is working in South India operations, they should see only the South India Finance Manager, but they should not see the North India Finance Manager. So this is how we filter the data by the business unit. That is the purpose of using the set IDs or the reference data sets. So use it for partitioning data into smaller portions. These data sets can then be assigned to a different business unit. So once we create the reference data sets, we assign to the business units. So now let us see here, Fusion Insurance is one business unit. Fusion Insurance UK is one business unit. Fusion Bank UK is one business unit. So in UK, we have two business units, and in US, we have only one business unit. So now the requirement is Fusion Insurance UK and Fusion Insurance US, these both should have the same jobs because they are insurance companies. The jobs, what we create is insurance manager or client relation manager or risk control manager, whatever the jobs that are related to the insurance, you would be creating the jobs and then sharing those jobs between these two companies, whether this is located in US or whether this is located in UK, because you don't need to create two jobs, I mean the same job twice for the business units. It is one job you create and use it in Insurance US business unit and use it in Insurance UK Limited. So like this, and then you have one more requirement, all use the same grades. So you are following the grade structure, the global grade structure, which shared by all the business units. So in this case, you will be creating the grades for all the business units and displaying for all the business units. So that is another requirement. The third requirement is, since Fusion Insurance UK and Fusion Bank UK, these two are located in UK itself, the locations which you create for UK, the branch office locations, the headquarter location, whatever the locations that you create for UK will have the same locations. Because the UK specific locations, you don't need to use in US because US address is different, US locations are different. So these will have share. So now in this case, if you see, the jobs will be shared by these two business units. Grades will be shared by all the business units, and locations should be shared by these two business units. So how do we create? So that is the example here. So we can, these are the three business units we have. So for job, what we do is we'll create two reference data sets. One is insurance reference data set and another one is banking reference data set. So there is job related requirement, right? So only job insurance, and for insurance is one job sharing, and for Fusion Bank we'll have to create one more job for insurance. So that is, so we need two reference data sets here. One is for insurance, another one is for banking. And coming to the grades, we need only one reference data set so that all the business units will be sharing. And coming to the locations, again, we need one more reference data set for country specific. So now we see the requirement here. We create insurance set and banking set. So when we create a job, we associate the job with insurance set, and that insurance set is associated with the two business units. Insurance US business unit, Insurance UK business unit. So that these jobs, whatever you create for insurance purpose, will be shared across these two business units. And then for UK, you have separate jobs. So you create a banking set, banking reference set, and associated with the Fusion Bank UK business unit, and use the same reference data set while creating the jobs for UK bank. So that is, so you'll understand more when we get into the system and then try to associate each one of them. And we have the grade object. So while creating the grade, we will use the enterprise set, or there is a common set which is defaultly given by Oracle itself. So we can use that so that the grades will be shared among all these business units. Okay, so whatever the grade that we create, it will be available for any of the business unit. And then coming to the location, you need to create two more business reference data sets. One is US set and UK set. So the US set location can be used for US, and UK sets can be used for the UK. So that's how you can create the reference data sets. All right. So let us get onto this. All right. So here I'm creating the enterprise set. It is already there. Common set is already there. So let me add two more sets or three more sets. You can say US set. So this we can use for US, and then I'm going to create one more for South India set something. South India. We have South India software set. Can use the description also same. And I'm going to use one more NIS set, which is nothing but the North India software set. If you have South India separate jobs or locations, whatever, and North India's jobs separately, so we can create like this. And then move on to the next step, so that these sets can be used for the business units assignment. So the next one is, we already created two business units, South India development, North India development, and we also created two reference data sets, one for South India, another for North India. So we need to assign them as a default reference data set here. So let us see. This is South India. So I'm going to use South India software set, and then I'm going to use North India software set. So now coming to those four objects, the jobs, grades, locations, and departments, whatever the jobs that you create, while creating the job, you have to select the reference data set. For example, if I am creating a South India finance manager, if I am creating a job of South India finance manager and then associate with the reference data set South India software set, that South India finance manager job will be available for assigning only for those employees who are working in South India development business unit. And similarly, if you create North India finance manager job by selecting the North India software set as a reference data set while creating the job, those jobs will be available only for the employees who are working in North India development business unit. So that is how you filter the data. So you can filter jobs, grades, and then departments, and then the locations. So there are four objects which we can filter by reference data set. So this is just to reduce the list of values. That's all. Okay. So let's move on to the next step. So we have the location reference data sets here. So again, at the locations, we can use the reference data sets. RTI Enterprise Headquarters. So we can use a US set. And then this is the RTI software again. We can use this is in South India, whatever you want to use, South India set. Or you can use North India set because this is the headquarters for North India. And then move on to the next step. Okay, so this is the review page. You can review whatever the information that you enter. Whatever the information that you enter, you can review here. And then if you want any changes, you can always go back by clicking on the back button. Or never use this browser back button. You will lose your connection. Use always this back button. And then if you want to directly go ahead with the create business unit, you can directly click on here on this particular task. Okay, so now let us see the management reporting structure tab. So a hierarchy will be automatically generated based on the enterprise, number of divisions you created, number of legal entities that you created. It's going to show you in a pictorial format. So you can see here, this is the holding company and these two are the divisions. So if you create, this will be automatically generated. And if you want to add these things to under division, you want to add legal entities. Under legal entities, you want to add business units. Under business units, you want to add departments. Those things we'll see. There is another task to create the trees. And then now I'll submit it. Okay, so the enterprise is created now. So we have created RTI enterprise. Okay, so this is the one we created, RTI. And now the next step is to load this enterprise. But we can only load only one enterprise for one client for buying one license from Oracle. You cannot load many of the enterprises. So that you guys need to understand. And even when you guys practice it, you'll have to remember that whatever the enterprise that you create, you will be creating it only for practice purpose. You will not be able to load them. If you don't load it, whatever the setups that you are doing further, like creating jobs, creating positions, departments and all, those will not be created under the new enterprise that you created. That will be created under the enterprise which is already loaded in this instance. So there is one enterprise which is already loaded here, like Airtel or something like that, someone loaded here. Yeah, this is the one. Airtel HCM, someone already loaded this. If you don't load this, then you can see here under load enterprise configuration column, there are some arrow marks. Go to task. You will be able to click on this and load your enterprise. Now, since one enterprise is already loaded, you will not have this task arrow available to you. It's grayed out. So you cannot load it. Basically, you cannot load it because one enterprise is already loaded in the entire instance. So that is how you load it. Once you click on this, it will be automatically loaded. So in your real-time implementation, you will not have these many enterprises. You will have only one enterprise which you create, and you can always click on this and load it. So once you load it, and whatever the further configurations that you want to do, like creating a job, creating a position, whatever, those things will be available for your enterprise only. That you need to understand, because this is a cloud environment. One license for one client. One client will have only one enterprise, not too many enterprises, unless they have separate companies, not related to this particular group. Okay, and then let us save and close it. So with this, we have created the enterprise, and this particular step is also called establish enterprise structure or enterprise structures configurator. So that is the model. And there are separate tasks for creating more business units, more divisions, more reference data sets that we will see in our further sessions. So that's all for the day. So if you guys have any questions, so I'll be able to answer you guys. So any questions from any of you guys on this enterprise thing? Any questions from anyone? Okay, no questions? Yeah.
I have one doubt. While creating enterprise, there is no date track, Hari. Actually,
No, there is, right? There is the effective start date. So when you create the enterprise, there is a start date, right? So once you click on this, I mean, since you already loaded this particular enterprise, the system will take you to that enterprise only. What it assumes is, now we are trying to create an enterprise, because one enterprise is already loaded. It assumes that we are trying to create, we are trying to modify the existing enterprise. It will take a date. So you don't need to worry about that date here. Okay. I'm not sure why I'm not able to. Okay, let me stop recording, stop sharing. Okay. So you got some questions. Okay, how to load the locations? That we will see in our further sessions when we are discussing the locations topic.
And also for managing legal entities, we have a lot of legal entities will there. We need to create manually, or is there any option like we can load it for legal entities like that?
Yes. You can load it by using the spreadsheet loader. So we have the spreadsheet loaders, lot many spreadsheet loaders. So by using the spreadsheet loader, we can load whatever the different enterprise structure related objects. You can load jobs, grades, locations, everything.
In the managed legal entities, there is a generate automatically, is there, right?
Correct.
If we click that one, what will happen?
It will take the divisions. You have created 2 divisions, right? Before getting into the step of creating legal entities. So when you say automatically generate, it will just pick the division names and assumes that those divisions are going to be the 2 legal entities. It will create with that name itself.
Okay.
All right. So any other questions?
Yeah. In EBS, while creating business group, we are assigning like 4 mandatory one like HR organization and business units and legal employer and legal GRE something.
Right.
In here, what is this like? There is no options are like or.
No, we do have. We'll further discuss. I mean, this question is too early to ask. So we'll further discuss. So because we have steps to create again divisions, business units, all those things. So we'll see now.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone else, guys? Okay. All right. We'll wrap up this session for today. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. Take care then. Bye-bye.